They say the world ends with fire and monsters, gods screaming, wolves swallowing the sun, serpents poisoning the sky. In every painting of Ragnarok, the noise is overwhelming. Thor roaring, Odin charging, Fenrir snapping his jaws around the father of all gods. But look closely at those images. Somewhere on the edge of the battlefield, there is always one figure who is not shouting, not waving a weapon, not giving speeches. He is standing in complete silence, watching, waiting. And when the loudest god of all finally dies, he is the one who moves. His name is Vidar, the god who speaks almost never and outlives almost everyone. Welcome to Lore Myth. Tonight you're not just hearing about Odin or Thor or Loki. You're meeting the quiet god the sagas barely mention, the one who takes no glory, makes no oaths, and yet is the one who kills the wolf that devours Odin and walks out alive after the end of the world. Stay until the end, because the way he does it is one of the strangest details in all of Norse myth. And if you enjoy these darker, overlooked corners of mythology, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. The Norse gods are loud. Thor is thunder itself, hammer crashing, voice booming across the sky. Loki is chaos made flesh, always laughing, always lying, always stirring trouble. Odin is the storm of war and poetry, whispering into kings' ears, sacrificing eyes, and hanging himself from the world tree for knowledge. But Vidar is silent. The Eddas say almost nothing about his words. One line in the prose, Edda simply calls him the silent god. Another adds, "He is almost as strong as Thor." No explanation, no backstory. Just power and silence, like a shadow at the edge of every scene. The little we're told is strange. Vidar is the son of Odin, but not by Frigg. His mother is a giantess named Grid, one of the Jotnar, the giants who are not just big brutes, but embodiments of raw nature and chaos. Odin had many children, but with Grid he fathered something different, a son who embodies patience, endurance, and vengeance, so cold it doesn't need words. Vidar is associated with forests and wild places. Some sources call him the forest dweller. His hall, after the world ends, is called Vidi, a wide place of green-growing things. While the other gods are feasting in Valhalla or riding into battle, Vidar is somewhere else, in the quiet places, in the long years before Ragnarok, doing one very strange thing. He is making a shoe. Not just a shoe, the shoe. The Old Norse texts say all his life Vidar is preparing a special footwear made from the waste pieces, the cut-off scraps of leather that humans remove from their own shoes and throw away. Those small, useless bits nobody thinks about. The myths say they should be saved, dedicated, because they are meant for Vidar's boot. Imagine that for a second. Every time a Norse person trims the edge of a leather shoe, a tiny fragment is, in the story world, going to Vidar, year after year, generation after generation. The silent god collects all the offcuts, the forgotten remnants of human effort, and slowly builds a single, impossibly thick shoe. For what? For one moment. Norse myth is obsessed with fate. Odin knows how the story ends. He knows Ragnarok is coming, the final battle, where the gods will fall, the world will burn, and a new world will rise from the sea. He knows he will die, swallowed by the giant wolf Fenrir, the monstrous son of Loki whose jaws can stretch from earth to sky. He spends his life trying to gather warriors, knowledge, and tricks to resist fate. But fate doesn't care. When Ragnarok begins, the signs are unmistakable. The sun and moon are devoured by wolves. The sky splits. The Midgard serpent rises from the sea. Fire giants march from Muspelheim. The dead sail on a ship made of worm-eaten nails. And Fenrir breaks free. The wolf that once had a ribbon named Gleipnir wrapped around him a magical chain forged from impossible things, like the sound of a cat's footfall, and the beard of a woman snaps his bonds. He grows so huge that his lower jaw scrapes the ground while his upper jaw presses against the sky. Flames pour from his mouth. His eyes burn like hellfire. His every breath is poison. Odin mounts his 8-legged horse, Sleipnir, and charges directly at Fenrir, spear Gungnir in hand, knowing exactly what will happen. This is his fate. This is the death he has foreseen. The two meet in the ruins of a world. Odin's spear strikes, but it's not enough. Fenrir's jaws close around him. The father of gods disappears into the wolf's mouth and is swallowed whole. The battlefield falls silent for a heartbeat. In that silence, something moves. Vidar steps forward. Up to this point, he has done almost nothing in all of myth. No quests, no adventures, no poems bragging about his victories. While the others fill songs, he fills a single prophecy. He will avenge his father. That is Vidar's entire role. He doesn't represent thunder, or mischief, or love, or wisdom. He is pure vengeance, not hot, explosive rage, but a quiet, unstoppable pressure that has been building for years. He walks toward Fenrir, who is still chewing on Odin's corpse. The texts describe what happens next with almost clinical simplicity. There's no screaming from Vidar, no speech, no curse, no prayer. He puts his foot down. Specifically, he places that one enormous, thick shoe on Fenrir's lower jaw, that shoe made from centuries of discarded leather scraps. That shoe strengthened by every unnoticed sacrifice humans ever made. He plants it against the wolf's jaw and presses down with all his weight. Fenrir tries to close his mouth. He can't. Then Vidar grabs the wolf's upper jaw with his hand. In some versions, he also takes hold with his other hand, bracing himself. In others, he simply stands grounded, the forest-born son of a god and a giant, and pulls. The silent god tears. He rips Fenrir's jaws apart with such force that the wolf's mouth splits, its head is torn in two, and the creature that killed Odin dies not with an explosion, not with a storm, but with the awful sound of bones breaking under steady pressure. No one helps him. No one needs to. Vidar kills the monster that killed the king of the gods, using nothing but his shoe, his hand, and strength that almost equals Thor's and perhaps surpasses it in that one single moment. If you're still here, you're exactly who lore myth is made for, someone who doesn't want just the flashy gods, but the quiet ones with one job and a terrifying payoff. So if you haven't yet, subscribe and hit the bell, because there are dozens of myths like this, where the character you barely notice ends up changing everything. Now here's where Vidar's story takes a twist most people never notice. The myth doesn't end with, and then he killed Fenrir, and fade to black. Ragnarok continues. Thor kills the Midgard serpent, but dies from its poison. Freyr is killed by the fire giant Surt because he gave his best sword away. Loki and Heimdall slay each other. Fire consumes the world. The great ash tree, Yggdrasil, trembles. The seas boil. And then quiet. The fire dies. The smoke clears. The waves settle. The earth, blackened and broken, slowly becomes green again. New land rises from the sea. The sun has a daughter who takes her place in the sky. The air becomes breathable. Life returns. Most of the gods are gone. Odin is dead. Thor is dead. Many of the bright young gods have fallen. But not Vidar. The sources say explicitly, Vidar and Vali will survive, for neither sea nor fire will harm them. Odin's silent sons endure. They meet with the surviving children of Thor and a few other gods on the renewed plain of Idavol. They rebuild. They find their father's treasures in the grass. They remember what came before, but they walk forward into what comes next. The loud gods, the ones with poems and sagas and thunder, are gone. The quiet god is still standing. That is the second twist of Vidar's myth. He isn't just vengeance, he's survival. He is the embodiment of something the Norse understood deeply. Noise and glory burn bright and die fast. Endurance belongs to those who can stand still, wait, and move only when it matters. But there is one more twist, buried in that strange detail about the shoe. Why is Vidar's power tied to all those little scraps of leather? Think of what a shoe edge represents in the ancient world. Every time someone made or repaired shoes, they cut away useless bits, tiny pieces, meaningless alone. They went unseen, unnoticed, discarded. Norse storytellers took that mundane detail and turned it into a cosmic weapon. The silent god patiently gathers every overlooked fragment of human effort and sacrifice and uses it to kill the greatest threat the gods have ever known. He wins with what others consider trash. There's a philosophy there, one. The story is never explained directly, but you can feel it. Power isn't only in grand gestures and heroic speeches. It's in the accumulation of small, boring actions over time. The exercises you don't skip. The habits you keep when no one is looking. The work you put in when there's no applause. Vidar is the mythic embodiment of that principle. He says nothing. He does not rush. But in the one moment that matters, he has exactly what he needs because he has been preparing for it quietly all along. Even the silence in his story is meaningful. In a culture that loved boasting warriors in the sagas brag endlessly, listing their kills and conquests, Vidar never boasts. He has no recorded dialogues, no dramatic monologues. The Eddas don't give us his speeches because his speech is his action. He is the answer to a question. What if the most important person in the story is the one who speaks least? If you're still watching now, clearly you're into this deeper layer of myth, the symbolism, not just the monster fights. So do 3 things before this video ends. First, hit like so more people who love mythology actually see this instead of only surface-level content. Second, subscribe to Lore Myth and turn on all notifications. We're building a library of gods, demons, and creatures that most people either never heard of or only know from movies that got them wrong. Third, tell in the comments, who do you think is more terrifying, Fenrir, the wolf that devours Odin, or Vidar, the silent god who waits decades just to tear Fenrir apart without a word? Your answer might decide whether the next video focuses on another monster or another quiet figure and punished. Even Baldur's mother Frigg asks every single thing in the world to swear not to harm her son, and the one harmless plant she ignores is what kills him. Vidar doesn't try to escape fate. He embodies it. His entire existence is a single sentence in prophecy. He will avenge his father by killing Fenrir. There is no hint he resists this. No hint he fears it. He just gets ready. He lives his whole god life for one act, then steps into a new world on the other side. In a way, he is the calm at the center of the storm of Ragnarok. The one person who knows exactly what he's for and doesn't feel the need to talk about it. And maybe that's the deepest reason his myth still resonates, even if he barely appears. In a world full of noise, performative rage, and endless shouting, There is something both unsettling and inspiring about the figure who says nothing, and then, when it matters most, does exactly what needs to be done. At Ragnarok, thunder shouts, fire rages, serpents spit venom, wolves devour gods. But at the end of all that, it is the silent god with the strange shoe who walks out of the smoke into the green of a new world. And if you ever see a depiction of Ragnarok where everyone is screaming and swinging weapons, look for him off to the side, watching, waiting. He's the one the world will belong to when the shouting stops.